The deck that I'll be showing you today has a unique perspective with a strong feminine energy. Each card is linked to a sacred plant and a time of a day to give you a structured approach to a daily reflection. This isn't your typical tarot deck. It's a ritual tool designed with a personal introspection in mind, and it syncs the reader with nature and time. The artwork is collage style with infusion of nature elements like plants and flowers, combined with sometimes surreal tone and mystical characters. It's not for everyone, but for the right reader, it will land deep. Hey, welcome back. And if you're new to the channel, I'm Jay and this is Lunar Tarot, where I bring you weekly tarot and oracle deck reviews to inspire your readings. And the deck I'll be showing you today was released by US Games and created by two Italians, the author Cecilia Lattari and the artist Fabiano Belmonte. As the name suggests, Magical Irish Tarot links tarot cards with sacred and medicinal plants and their daily blossoming patterns. It's a deck with a sacred feminine style that has magical and nature tone imagery. Let's have a look at this deck together. The deck comes in a really nice box. It's got the author's names here. Some of the images you'll see in the cards. This is the Emperor. Spoiler alert. This is basically what the card is about. It's a journey through time, space and dreams in search of a hidden magic of nature. It's a 78 card deck and comes with 128, quite a big guidebook, which I'll show you as well. And this is this year release. Hot off the press, guys. All right, let's take a look what's inside. Now, nice touch. The box has a magnet here, and also, if you haven't noticed, look at this beautiful embossed print of one of the characters from the cards. Isn't it nice? This is also got a shiny finish to it, but it's not embossed. All right, so I've got the book, and we'll talk about the book when we do a sample read. And we are greeted by another little box. How cute is that? So we've got an additional tag box, which I think is super useful, right? If you think about it, because you don't have to carry this with you everywhere. You can just take a box rather than taking everything. So I thought it was a nice little touch. Now this box also is a good quality. It's got a waxy finish, and it's not your standard thin card box. It's actually got a pretty sturdy cardboard here. So quite nice. Let's quickly look at the cards. Now the cards themselves, another excellent quality card. They're quite thick, but also bendy, which is quite nice. You can do all kinds of cool tricks with it. Riffle shuffle probably, though I think that could be a little bit of a challenge with a medium or smaller size hands like mine. No gilding on these ones, which is not a bad thing. I always feel bad when I shuffle the cards and gilding will start wearing off. I quite like not having it too, so I don't mind. Now the edges are round, and the cards don't have a frame, so it's a full-size artwork on these. Now it says it's a standard size cards, but I feel like they're a little bit larger than your standard cards. Just to compare, this is my daily decks reading deck, and just look, I'll show you the size of the cards. So you see, it's slightly bigger, which makes it a tiny bit challenging when you're trying to shuffle it or do a riffle shuffle. So it's not impossible, but a little bit clunky. Also, the cards will get bendy. So if you want to use this deck in your collection, probably don't do riffle shuffle, but overhand shuffle is pretty good. If you have a look here, they're made for this. Just beautiful, beautiful shuffle. In terms of the design of the cards, they look like dreamlike painting with occasional collage style. Also, there's a bit of a abstraction and symbolism here. You'll see it every now and then. There'll be like on the Five of Cups, you see a little ship there. You'll have fish floating in the air. Like this one is a good example on the Three of Cups. The deck has an AI feel to it, but Fabiana is a digital artist who uses Photoshop. I did have a look at her Instagram, and I'll share a link in the description so you can have a look as well. It's digital art, even though it does have this bit of a soapy feel to it sometimes. Also, one of the reviewers that I follow mentioned that she spoke to the vendor and they confirmed that this is not an AI deck. Now, what you'll probably notice as well, each card will have a plant somewhere in the background, or sometimes there is the plant will be right there. There is a reason for it. It's especially Major Arcana, they show a specific plant that is active at a certain time of the day, and each one of these cards of Major Arcana, for instance, will correspond with a time of a day when the plant is active, when it's blossoming. And Minor Arcana is slightly different. So there's no specific plant, there's a group of plants. For instance, for swords, this is a night active plants, and you will see that the suit of swords, which is really cool detail, is they all night cards. And similarly with other suits, you will see the plants corresponding to that time of day, and you're gonna see a plant in the background. Now the deck has a layered symbolism, and I think for me it sounds like a very, very complex deck that you can grow with as well. One example of this would be a Five of Swords, for instance. Look at the swords, they made out of air here, and that signifies, it's a reminder that we're not dealing with actual weapons here. It's more for thoughts and communications rather than actual swords flying in the air. And it's also homage to RWS, because this deck is based on RWS, even though it has its own unique style. Look at this one here. You probably recognize the Five of Swords from a traditional deck, though there's a slight difference here. You've got a mountain with a door on it. I think it's a really nice touch. Now, in terms of a color palette, you already probably saw it's quite mellow, and it's also a positive, uplifting style. While it's muted, you can still see that these are the cards of hope to me, and it's cards of introspection rather than something dark. And on the back of the cards, beautiful pattern here. I don't know how to describe it, but if you decide to do a riffle shuffle, when the cards fall, you will see how cool that pattern looks, almost psychedelic feel to it. Let me share with you some cards that stood out to me from the deck. This is the World card, and I think this is a really cool take. I haven't seen anything like this before. So this signifies a whole journey of a fool, how it came from a seed with a fool being in the picture, growing into something beautiful, and that the gate you remember from RWS is here as well. The Five of Pentacles, quite a dramatic card from RWS, completely different take on this one. And what I like about it, there's less misery on this one, though there is a sense of despair, but there's a ship in the background there. So in a way, you can see these guys are left out, but they actually aren't. There's hope in there, and even that they are here, they do have each other. That embrace, to me, is a much stronger card than what you see in RWS. I think it's a beautiful take on it. And the other favorite of mine is Page of Cups. Look how beautiful this play on the subconscious mind is here. So of course it's a card of intuition, but you can see the fish underwater. You know, this is the tip of the iceberg. So much of the unconscious mind we don't see, it's hidden under. And it's a huge fish too, as you can see. It's almost the size of a person. Now I showed you my favorite cards. Let me show you my cards that I didn't connect with. So the Four of Cups, to me, I'm not quite understanding this. I try to analyze it, and to me these two seem almost disconnected. There must be a relationship between these two figures, because the mermaid here is the same person from the RWS deck, but it's not clear what this is here. Is that a guidance that's not accepted in the mermaid symbolism? I guess it's because of a suit of cups, but it was a little bit, felt a bit of a disconnect here. This card as well, I'm not aligned with replacing the head of this person here with the moon. I think that path through the rocky road with the moonlight and uncertainty, I think it's quite significant for this card, and because it's been removed and replaced with this, it's probably one of my least favorite cards in this deck. And the other one is the Empress. I'm not sure if this to you represents the fertility, the creativity, the earth. To me, it isn't, and I'll show you later, and it's probably deliberate. There is a card in this deck that actually looks like an Empress, and then it's even described as such in the guidebook. Now, this deck has very strong feminine aesthetics, as I mentioned. Even cards that you would normally see, say, a representation of a family, like Ten of Cups, has 3 female figures here. Ten of Cups and Lovers card, you will see, and by the way, there is a flip through at the end of this video. Feel free to go and check some of the references I'm making here. I'll leave a timestamp so you can have a look at that. Even Two of Cups card, for instance, has 2 female figures. Now, you'll see some figures resembling the male shaped bodies or characters in the Kings, and I'll share with you the Suit of Pentacles. We'll talk about that in a sec. But some resemblance of these male figures you can see probably on the Devil card. You can see it's like a man's body with a head of a devil or a goat, and the Emperor is another example. So it's still sort of a male body. You can make it here, and it talks about the strong energy, but then the heads, and similar with Kings, are replaced with animal heads. Now, in saying that, however, the male presence is still here, and if you have a quick look at the Suit of Wands, you'll probably realize that the wands have very strong resemblance to a phallic symbol. Let me share with you the Suit of Pentacles, and you can get a bit of a visual representation of what that looks like. So we've got the Page of Pentacles, the Knight of Pentacles, the Queen of Pentacles, and the King of Pentacles. So the Page of Pentacles is sort of an apprentice. You can see how she's overlooking, looks like a settlement here. Now, the Knight of Pentacles, similar to RWS, doesn't move a lot on this in this deck as well. It's more of a static symbol, and I like that how the coins, they don't look like pentacles as such. They look more like a real life coins, which is pretty cool. And you can see how these cards, they grow in maturity level, right? You sort of see this, not a child, but like young women here, where here we're looking more at the mature figures. Do you now recognize what I was talking about when I said the traditional Empress is still in this deck? So this is it. Now, the authors call her the Mother Earth, and that's why you have these animals around her, and of course the birds there as well. In the King, so you see it's sort of a male figure. You make it out with the head of a bull or maybe an ox, and this represents a generous person who shares his wealth with presumably people in front of him. Now, let's do a 1-card read, and I'll show to you what the main purpose and the unique aspect of this deck actually is, and we'll get our guidebook as well, so you'll understand how it all fits together. Just pick a card, and I'm hoping it's going to be Major Arcana, because that's where perfect. Just start. All right. So you can see here, you can do intuitive reading on this, though it would be somewhat difficult to do unless you're familiar with traditional meaning of this card. But it's quite difficult, I would say. There's no esoteric meaning here, so that's why you consult the book. Deep Night. So this is a time of this card. looking at the sky from the heart of the forest and a clearing tree from the branches of chestnut and oak trees plunges us into a bright sea of stars. They shine and twinkle in the dark night, reminding us that where the darkness is deepest is where the light is the brightest. Now here you're going to see it goes on a little bit about the tower and the hope, but then there is the mentioning of the plant. So the plant of this deck is of course birch, and you can see there's an element of a card present here. There is or archetypal energy in this case. There's a time of a day. So this is a night card. There's also a plant. We actually have two here. There's a second one here, but it's not mentioned here. It talks about the birch. And then in the same place, the plant is a metaphorical ally that has its energy tied to the card. Like in this case, birch talks about flexibility. It invites the reader to be flexible and gentle and marks a step toward the light, right, as the card suggests here. Now, the message here at 12 a.m. Observe the starry sky without the help of apps or telescopes. Find a meadow or park and look at the stars. So this is your message, a reflection, and the ritual suggestions here, right? So these messages can be taken literally, but not always. For instance, there is the one of the messages in this deck, I can't remember which one, but it suggests to donate your clothes to a shelter. And you may pull this card a few times a week and you may not have anything to donate. So it's more of the don't do it now suggestion, but invitation to ask, what do you have that is ready to be released and what needs to be coming? So in this case, what is flexible? What do you need to pay attention to? But it can also be a literal thing. And that's why this deck is more of a spiritual journal or a reflection tool more than your traditional divination type of deck. And it still does a good job with guidance and relationships readings. I did a read for my girlfriend and it did go well, though I had to use my own interpretation of RWS, because if you look in the deck, it's not always very clear in the guidebook. And let's have a quick look at the guidebook. So this is actually Italian publisher here. So I think US Games is partnered with them to produce this deck. It's a bit of interpretation here. What I mentioned, that you've got your major arcana linked to a specific time of the day and a specific plant, where your minor arcana is linked more to a group of plants and time of a day, but it will be more of the like a nighttime or daytime. Like swords, I mentioned the deep night, or wands, dawn, and all the plants associated with dawn. You've got your major arcana meanings listed here. I think you saw one of them already. And with minor arcana, this is full color book, by the way, waxy, beautiful finish, and even the pages themselves look a bit sort of beige color, which is quite nice. It's a bit of an introduction of the authors, and you also have two spreads. Well, one card of a day, 3 card spread, pretty traditional, and this is a cyclical spread that I mentioned that this deck is connected to it. So what would you use this deck for? I think the divine feminine work, and not just the goddess type of deck, but cyclical, nature-based, intuitive readings. The hour of a day, moon phases, ritual timings, if you work on self-care readings or energy balancing, ritual and seasonal practices. If you pull in card for an hour or day, it can be used for the wheel of a year, or if you do daily pulls or journaling. And you can also dive into plant magic a little bit of this, but it also feels at times as an oracle tarot hybrid, not your traditional predictive tarot. Alright, you made it this far, and here's an honest part. This deck is not for everyone. It's for readers who want to explore divine feminine and use it as a tool for journaling, introspection, and rituals. If you're someone who works with daily cycles, moon phases, and plant medicine or sacred plants, this will be a perfect addition to your collection. This deck can function as a reading deck, but just because it's so highly niche, you're not going to get the traditional well-balanced spread. And Major Arcana has been restructured with this hour of a day symbolism plants, and because male archetypes have been replaced or abstracted with animal heads, so the energy, especially for intuitive reading, this is going to be probably leaned heavily towards feminine and introspective rather than anything else. Now, I don't think this is a beginner-friendly deck either, because the symbolism is layered and art is so dense, and the guidebook is geared towards this ritual and sacred feminine frameworks, not Rider-Waite interpretations. So if you're new to tarot and looking for clarity or classic meanings, I don't think you should start here. But that said, it could absolutely be a working ritual deck for a right person, or collector piece just because it's beautiful design and top tier production. I mean, we've got 2 boxes here. The guidebook is phenomenal. The box quality is just top notch. And I've reviewed a few decks that were in the same category, but I haven't come across another one that blends of ritual timing and plants in the same way, and also is a mass-produced deck. If you're looking for a general purpose deck, or lean into shadow work with strong archetypal cards, this is not going to work for you. But if you want to sit down with a cup of tea at a certain time of the day, pull a card and self-reflect and get some personal guidance, this will hit the right spot. I'm giving this deck 4 out of 5 paws on the cat meter. It's got an excellent production quality, beautiful artwork, and a very unique system that you don't see often in a mass production tarot deck market. The reason that it's not getting 5 stars is that it's quite niche. I cannot see myself using it often unless I practice a riffle shuffle with this size of cards or do a read every now and then for my girlfriend. So this is my take on the Magical Hours Tarot. Have you tried this deck, or do you know of any deck that has such a unique system? Let me know in the comments below. This is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, feel free to subscribe. And if you would like to support what I do, you'll find everything you need in the description. Enjoy the flip through, and I will see you in the next one. The deck is called the Magical Hours, and the artist Byl busy peci pesika. So, this is my deck. Bam, 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 bam.